So the novel is set in Harlem in 1928. Cora is a wife and mother who works at the library and dreams of becoming a writer. She reaches out to Langston Hughes for advice, and they strike up a pen pal relationship. What was your inspiration for this story?
I've always been a fan of that time period, the Harlem Renaissance, and I always loved his poetry. And so there was a poem that kind of frames the book that really sort of gave me an idea as to what women must have gone through if they wanted to write or, had an art or some type in the 20s, and particularly if they were Black. So many of those things were not possible because of, racism and discrimination and oppression, and not to even mention, sexism too. So I thought, what would happen if there was a woman that wanted to be a writer, but everything was kind of conspiring against her to do it? I guess the other thing that helped me decide I wanted to write this book is that my grandmother wanted to be a teacher, and she just never had the opportunity to finish school and to do that. And that sort of made me wonder too, how many other women had dreams and things that they wanted to do and couldn't because of the country that we live in.
There is some tension between Cora and her husband, Earl, a musician. Earl insists on his right to play music, but he seems threatened by Cora's need to write, and she keeps her letters to Hughes a secret from him. Do you find creative competition with partners as a common barrier for women writers?
I think it is a thing, particularly if they're both creative, if they both have dreams. I think women, because of our nurturing and responsibility, I think we end up putting our family and our responsibilities a lot before ourselves.
There's also a challenging running theme of how men treat their wives abusively and they get away with it. There's the story of Cora's cousin Agnes and of Eleanor, a wealthy white woman who befriends and helps Cora, and even of Margaret, who works at the soda shop. How relevant or how resonant do you think that theme is today for your readers today?
Well, I think it's still relevant. I think depending on what your economic status is, there's a lot of times when it goes underground. When I was in college, I used to volunteer at a safe house for battered women. And I will never forget us providing shelter for one of the professor's wives. And you tend to think, when you think of domestic violence, you tend to think of lower income, less educated, and that's just not true. And I think that also, informed my desire to write about that, because it's something that a lot of time gets sucked underground, and women don't feel safe to share. Even today, my daughter was telling me about a situation. She's a fourth year medical student, and she had a woman who her wrist was hurt, and she said her spouse had done it, and my daughter was asking her the questions about her feeling safe, and she actually got chastised by her resident for opening up sort of that can of worms and not having resources. And so, this is 2022. It's still very, very relevant in a situation where women don't feel safe to share. So I feel like that definitely still resonates. Unfortunately, I'd love to say that it doesn't, but I'm sure that it does.